We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 433. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, as always, the OG Undisputed Scholar himself. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how's your night going, sir?
My night's been going very well. We finished a good episode of SmackDown, watching a pretty fun episode of Rampage. Because, of course, Scholars of Wrestling, I am very excited to discuss wrestling with you tonight, fool.
Oh, yeah. And we got a whole lot of things to enjoy. We're so close to SummerSlam season. So we got a little something to talk about tonight in regards to that. But before we get to all that, we've got a little bit of an update in a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
Indeed, we'll also go ahead, peek behind that curtain, as we always do, to check in on some backstage news. News.
Blowing out your microphones, man.
No, news.
Yeah, it's a very interesting summer night. We're tripping over our words. We're losing our mess. We're blowing out our microphones. It's the way we're rolling here. We need some expertise here. We need someone who can come in and just rein in all this chaos, just like they're doing in AEW. But the one difference is AEW looks like they got the help they're needing, because it was just breaking this week that AEW has hired on Chris Hero for a full-time producer role. Now I don't know about you, but that's a name I don't think we've heard from in quite a long time.
Now it's the question, is he a producer on like regular AEW, or is it on Dynamite? Is it on Collision? Could it be a Ring of Honor producer? Is there any full detail on that?
I did not catch all the full details, but he does seem to be under the AEW umbrella, which is making me, it's inclining that I'm inclined to think that he is on the main AEW shows.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah.
What are you finding?
Oh, I'm just trying to see if there's any like specific details on that one, but I can't find anything. But yeah, he can do any of the pro under AEW. He can go pretty much wherever they need him to be. Actually, the more I think about it, I'm just like, oh, I hope he does like one or two more matches and then have one match with for old time's sakes with Claudio.
That would be fantastic. If
One more go with the Kings of Wrestling.
If unfortunately Chris Hero just isn't in the same shape that Claudio seems to be, like perpetually.
Oh, absolutely. Just the heart wants what the heart wants.
I don't blame you. But that wasn't the only name that was spotted. Apparently, Chris Hero was on a sort of a interim trial basis before he actually got the full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Working alongside him, apparently, was Scotty 2 Hotty, who was also trying out for a producer role with the company.
Oh, with AEW? I thought he was doing that with WWE.
Nope. According to the same reports that we've been seeing, Scotty 2 Hotty has been running. He just hasn't been brought on full-time in the same way Chris Hero has. At least not yet.
I could have sworn I thought it was because I heard that same report with Scotty 2 Hotty, and I could have sworn it was to WWE.
Hey, it very well could have been at a certain point. Again, it's not like these names are really in the traditional wrestling spotlight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what other adjustments or tryouts could actually be in the running right now. We just don't know until something big happens.
I could see him. If it is to AEW, I don't know if I could really see him in an actual match. I just think he'll just stay backstage as a producer.
I imagine most of these guys will if they get picked up in a bigger role. Although I have to admit, I do, in all seriousness, agree with you that it would be fun to see the Kings of Wrestling for just like one more match.
One
Then
match,
maybe,
just one TV match in Ring of Honor, just for nostalgia's sakes.
yeah, that they could probably get away with. And then maybe like the Blackpool Combat Club will beat them down or something. Like,
Well,
that's over. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
I don't know about that. They seem to be more respectable tweeners now that their feud with the Elite is over.
Hmm. It
Except
is
well,
possible.
except when you made it clear you want to go for the international championship, like what Moxley's doing.
Hmm. Yeah, this has so many different possibilities, especially with someone with the expertise and knowledge of Chris Hero, who seems to, by all accounts, have an excellent reputation with every professional wrestler who's come across his path. This strikes me as being a very, very large get for AEW to really sharpen up their style while retaining some freshness with Chris Hero, of all people, in this role.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we've got some good things on the horizon for AEW.
Oh
But
yeah,
meanwhile,
someone who knows who knows the backstage well. Oh yeah, it's a great win for them.
for sure. And hopefully, Lord willing, we've got a big win on the horizon for WWE as well, because next week is SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer, TM. So we've got summer fever. And then when we're putting this match together, match, wow, it's been a long day all around. But when we're putting this show together, you had the brilliant idea of, hey, well, you tell me, what was your brilliant idea?
Well, I'm just thinking it is that time of year. It is the build to SummerSlam, and since nothing really much can be said on WWE television other than just more building for the event, why not pull a little scholars in time and just look back at our favorite moments, matches, events, looking down on past SummerSlams and just think what are those moments, matches, etc., that just left an impact on you.
Yeah, it actually got me thinking. Like, it made me look back on all of the SummerSlams I've seen and the historic ones and everything, and made me think, you know what? There is more than enough here to get a top five list for top five SummerSlam moments.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, you know what? Good idea. Let's do it. This is our top five SummerSlam matches, moments, whatever you got. It's our top five SummerSlam moments ever. These are our picks. Now, the only question is, when we start off the top five, who wants to give their answer first? Would you like to
Uh,
go first, or shall I go first with kicking things off with my number five?
I'll start it since this was my call. I think I should start it off.
All right, the
Um,
floor is yours.
the way I was really going with this is just essentially what match really do I like to go back on when it comes to SummerSlam, and just the wrestling fan heart in me. And before, like when I was really into the detail, I would really look back at the two Intercontinental Championship title matches. This one's kind of a cheat because it's two separate events, but when it comes to the initial ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship of HBK and Razor Ramon, and the one that let's see, oh god, I forgot to write the date on this one, with Triple H and The Rock, their ladder match at SummerSlam. Actually, oh god, now I'm curious. Let me quickly go back and think of which year was this one. Let's see here. SummerSlam 1998.
Oh, I was going to guess 1996, but I'll take
Pretty
that.
close. But yeah, that's it just keeps reminding me why I'm such an Intercontinental Championship fan. Just seeing how these guys who are big Hall of Famers, future WWE champions, really starting their careers with these matches for the Intercontinental Championship. So that always just brings a nice, strong feeling in my heart.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is one heck of a number 5 spot. And I will confess a little something right here and now. When I first started watching wrestling, I started off with WCW and didn't really start following WWF for several years after that.
Mm-hmm.
So many of my SummerSlam picks are going to be, generally speaking, later on than yours, probably. So, with all that being said, I'm going again, this is a very drastic shift from your number 5 pick. I'm going to stick with ones I personally have seen for myself. So, for my number 5 pick, I am going to go with the Team WWE versus the Nexus. For not just the spectacle of the match itself, not just going this faction going up against the Nexus back when it was in its absolute prime, but not only did we get Bret Hart back in the mix, this was a match where we got the re-signing of Daniel Bryan Danielson Bryan, which I think I was watching with you, Fool, when this was going on, and I was
Oh
waiting for
yeah.
him to say something, and then Cena just said the final member of Team WWE is Daniel Bryan. I remember losing my mind. It's like the soul came back to WWE. I was overjoyed, and I just enjoyed that match tremendously. So that's my pick for the number 5 spot, Team WWE versus the Nexus.
I would go for more the build for that match than the actual match itself. I mean, if Cena didn't basically politics his way into pretty much ruining this up and coming team so quickly. Well, so in its infancy that they just couldn't recover from. Then I would agree with you. Then it would have been a bigger deal. I mean, hell, I remember buying a Nexus shirt myself, like literally weeks after their debut, because I'm just thinking this idea is just absolutely amazing. I love what they're doing with these future superstar or future potential champions. At
And we
least that's what
all
we
had the
thought.
armbands.
I still
Everyone
have
had
my
the
armband.
armbands.
I still have my armband. I don't know where it is, but I still have. Oh, yeah. I actually found it recently. But yeah, I still have my armband, and I'm just thinking, oh, what they could have been.
Yeah, truly. But I do remember I think we went to when this was back when Hooters actually showed the pay-per-views in their bars,
Oh
and a
yes, I
bunch of us
remember.
got together. There were so many Nexus shirts and armbands, and we just had wings all over the place. It That was a great time.
Oh, I miss that Hooters.
Yeah, so do but more so than that, I miss the vibe of just being in the same room with a whole bunch of really
Oh,
excited wrestling
that's
fans.
how I'm meeting it. Like, because
Oh yeah.
it was just the great atmosphere and seeing little Guido in the bathroom.
That was not a euphemism. We actually did run into, or you actually did run into little Guido in a Hooters restroom.
So awkward.
Oh yeah.
Even he thought it was just. I was like, we got to stop meeting like this because I bumped into him when we first got there.
Oh, you gotta love it. So
Uh,
with that, what is your pick for your number 4 spot on your best SummerSlam matches and moments?
this is a hard one because I to be fair, I kind of cheated and had 6 moments because I was gonna have an honorable mention, but
Just
I'm
before we go on, what would your honorable mention be since you have one?
that's the thing. I'm actually deciding between these two. Uh,
Hmm.
okay, for honorable mention, I'm gonna go with the triple threat match with The Rock, Triple H, and Kurt Angle. Mainly just because you and I were a part of that. We were a part of that build. We went to that Raw where Triple H and Kurt Angle both pinned Chris Jericho in that triple threat match, and The Rock rock bottoming Stephanie McMahon.
Oh wow, I totally forgot about that one.
So that one was just kind of like, oh, that's just for art. That's kind of just for our sake. But and
Wow,
it
I had
oh,
totally forgotten about that. That's wild.
actually to even hilariously point out, so we all complain about Asuka being world champion and being the third wheel in her feuds. Granted, at that time in the year 2000, The Rock was the third man in his world his world title feud because of the whole love triangle between Triple H, Angle, and Stephanie. Ah, good times.
Oh
But
brother.
so yeah, I'm gonna make that the honorable mention just because of how it's like we were a part of that. But I'm gonna in my real number four, I'm gonna go with quite possibly the greatest sold match, and that is Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 2005.
Mm,
And the most,
mm.
I just remember this story. I remember the build for it. I remember the Larry King promo, and just learning the backstage politics in this one just made it so much more fun going back and rewatching. And I just also love watching the Botchamania's video package and just having the what's the name of that music? The
Benny Hill,
Benny Hill
the
music.
Benny Hill
Thank you.
music.
Oh, Shawn Michaels was basically just giving the biggest middle finger to Hulk Hogan, and it was brilliant.
Okay, this is actually a way more this list is going to be way more varied than I thought it was going to be. Because I got something a little significantly different for my fourth pick. And honestly, this is the newest moment that I actually have on this list. And that is the Fiend's debut against Finn Balor in 2019.
Uh, I knew for a fact this was going to be on both our lists.
Yeah, this, even though it wasn't the biggest match, just the presentation alone just seemed like once in a generation. I remember the hype, the presentation, the music. It was all absolutely picture perfect. So whenever anyone looks at like something Bray Wyatt's doing and is like, okay, why do people love him so much? These moments, these entrances, these kinds of builds, this is the reason why. Because when Bray Wyatt is good, he is flipping great. I'm not going to hear any lip from anybody about that.
Oh, agreed. It's actually getting really ridiculous how much I of all the wrestling shows that I've watched, just look at Bray Wyatt and just basically laugh at it. And I feel like it's just unjust. And I'll save my feelings when it comes up on my list on just giving my take of why I love this match so much.
Okay, and I guess on that note, that'll move us to our number three spot. Fool, who do you have for your number three spot?
Mine now the remaining stuff is definite more recent products. Um, I would have to go with the Fatal Four Way at 2017 SummerSlam between Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe.
I came
Because
so close to adding that one. I think that's probably going to be my honorable mention.
this was just nothing more than just a big hoss match, and it was so much fun. We get to see Samoa Joe at a SummerSlam main event. That's automatically a win. We got Braun basically being one of the big highlights in this match when he was at his like highest peaks. It's still just a shame they didn't go while he's just super hot right at that time. And just seeing him basically put Brock Lesnar through the announce table and then just running through the walls. And it's one of those just big main events where it's just one where you can just let loose and just see not the biggest of big men that WWE has and just completely destroy each other. I couldn't ask for anything more. I just remember being on the edge of my seat and just going, this is just so much fun.
Yeah, I went in a very different direction now. And for my number three, this is actually where I put Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. Just due to the sheer spectacle of it all, and just now knowing what we know, just seeing Shawn Michaels just go absolutely overselling and going insane. But oddly enough, when I first saw the match years ago, I just thought Shawn Michaels was just selling like crazy, because we're talking about Hulk Hogan, who is just he's just power moves and power moves. So when you got someone who's like rubbery like Shawn Michaels, it didn't seem too far out of character. It seemed big and over the top, definitely, but it was enough where it didn't make everything seem like too much of a joke, if that makes sense. I still dug it very much.
I think when how he reacts to the big boot, I think that's where it's the point where it's like, okay, now this is now a joke. Getting right up and just throwing himself back down, or taking the clothesline out of the ring, and him just basically roly poly up the entrance ramp after it.
Now
Yeah,
this
it was
just
really at
this
that
entire
point.
talk is making me want to rewatch the match again. It really does.
You just really have to sit and wonder, I'm like, what is Hulk Hogan thinking? Just seeing like the kick while he's laying on the turnbuckle is flying like 3 feet in the air as a response to it. And just like, okay, Hulk Hogan has the power, but he doesn't have the power.
The kid's defying gravity, brother.
I really wonder what his thing is like, okay, what happened after they went backstage? There, you had your match. You happy now? I was the bad guy. You got what you wanted, brother?
Brother, brother, brother.
Brother, brother, brother.
So that will, I suppose, bring us to our number two spot.
All it is, it just leaves us confusing and just wanting more of what happened. That's all we can really say about
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan at this
Right
point.
now, I just want to see the match again, but that'll happen later.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to business. The number two spot on our SummerSlam countdown. Which one you got for number two?
So no, my number two is actually going to be the debut of the Fiend versus Finn Balor,
Huh.
and it's like you said, it was the presentation of it. You get these vignettes of Bray Wyatt as a Mr. Rogers character with past variations of his character as in the form of puppets, and he's just constantly hinting at him, and we're all just thinking, what is him? Why? Like you feel uncomfortable when you're watching these video packages, not just because it's creepy weird. It's just there's so much more darkness behind this. This is a mask of something else. And we're just keep seeing these different, like not hinting, like little bits more each week of what we're going to see in the ring with the Fiend character. And then we finally get that entrance, and you could just feel the jaw just on the floor of everyone in that arena. All of us watching at home, at your home, because that's where we watched it. And we were just in complete silence and just completely taken aback of what this new character is. You see his mask, the fans are chanting, holy shit. And at one point, you have him breaking Finn Balor's neck, Shao Kahn style.
I love that move so much. When they can make it look like so shocking, that is so good.
And just from presentation alone, like you said, you have the fans just going, "This is awesome! Holy shit!" You want to see more of where this can go. It's a shame of where it went, because I would love to have seen what he could have done with this without going into making Seth Rollins look like a little bitch with quite possibly one of the worst Hell in a Cells ever. But
Yeah.
nothing will ever top that first initial debut. The closest second will probably be the Firefly Funhouse match.
As far as the Fiend and Bray Wyatt goes, that I feel like that could be a whole other list on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my number two spot, again, I could not give the Fiend's debut as good as it was, because it just seems like there were so many other major spots that I either enjoyed a lot more or just seemed to come across more well framed and strong. My number two spot is just full on personal bias. Because real quick, who is my favorite wrestler of all time?
Mick Foley.
I had to go with the earliest match on my list, Mankind in the triple threat match, defeating The Rock and Triple H for the WWF title, 1999. That's I remember one of the earliest WWF magazines I got in the day was a shot from the end of that match of Jesse Ventura in the ref shirt holding up Mankind's hand. That was like one of the first wrestling magazines I ever got. And I was like, it was like such a notable moment from my favorite wrestlers WWF run that I cannot not put it on the list. I'm obligated
Oh,
to do so.
it's your list. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. But it is a very good selection. Um, it just now made like all I was thinking of. It's so weird that of all the faces of Foley, only Mankind has had WWE Championship reigns. I would love to have seen the Cactus Jack persona as world champion. Because let's be frank, Dude Love will never get to that level.
Certainly, but here's my theory. It's just a little bit of a side, but I'm curious to know what you think of it. I think that's really just more a matter of timing than anything else.
That's fair.
Like I think that because that they wanted to do something a little bit original when he came in, that he really didn't have the time to really excel as Cactus Jack. He was way too far into Mankind. Obviously, Dude Love is Dude Love, but Cactus Jacks, he just seemed to like, if he had come along at the right time with the right feud, he absolutely could have. But for whatever reason, at those specific times, he was in the Mankind persona. The closest he ever came, I think, was really when he had my absolute favorite match of all time. The closest he ever came was his title match with Triple H at the Royal Rumble year 2000. That is my favorite match of all time. The build was perfect. He was in his prime. If there was ever a time to make it happen, it was that feud. And once he lost those two matches, Dunzo Funzo.
But yeah, back to his title win as Mankind in SummerSlam. Yes, it was a very
That was a
it's
bit
a
of a
very
yeah,
good
that was
one.
a little bit of an aside there. Yeah, I know.
It's Mick Foley. We could talk about Mick Foley for hours. But oh yeah, but it could be a personal bias, but it's perfectly fine. It's your list, and it's a very very good choice. I actually have to go back and watch that one because I'm trying to think. Wasn't that the is that the time when he won it but then lost it the next night, or like
I believe it
shortly?
was, yes.
It was because like he lost it the next night to Austin, correct?
I thought he lost it to Triple H, or I forget. I honestly
I don't
forget.
remember.
Like most of my, I think it was definitely one of those things where whoever won it the next night didn't want to lose it in a certain way or
Yeah,
gain
that's
win
right.
it.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It was just a shame that it like you have that moment at SummerSlam. It's just I wish they had actually had a plan, actual legit plan, than just having him be basically a transitional champion.
Yeah, but then again, one thing that gives me a little bit of comfort in this particular scenario was that my boy Mick Foley was also world champion during a very competitive and popular point in the wrestling world. Like there were
Very
so
true.
many top names all at the same time and all up in the same echelon. The fact that he got to that point at even when he did is very impressive and really speaks to his charisma and wrestling character. I,
It just shows like
no
how
regrets.
likable he can be to the point where someone will be like, you know what? You've earned this. We're gonna give it to you. Because I'm Vince McMahon, damn it.
Uh, I really feel like they could do more of those kinds of treatments, but hopefully when the time comes, we'll know. But all that aside, now we're at the end of the road. We're at number one. What is your number one favorite SummerSlam match moment? Anything?
All right, my number one is you can't go any more recent than this. It's all of SummerSlam last year,
Really?
the entire show, because it was at a point when we were all at our lowest of lows with WWE. We were all at that point where we were just counting down the days of Vince McMahon stepping away with all the controversies surrounding him and the real authoritarian feeling that he was given, where everything was just literally everything was run through him. He got the final say on everything, and it was just repetitive. It was just repetitive television, the same old crap. Everyone was just so tired of where WWE was creative wise on screen. And then Vince McMahon gets the allegations and he is, well, forced to leave because he was bringing bad publicity. So, and then Triple H became head of creative. And we were thinking, okay, this is the end of the Vince McMahon regime. We're going to see what Triple H is going to do after SummerSlam, because they're not going to just skip all the stuff that's been building for this. But the one thing that really made that SummerSlam special to me is that it was assurance. Triple H is like, nope, I'm here right now. This is what you're getting. And the first match, you get the debut of Damage Control. And I just remember all of us watching and we were just going, holy shit, Io Sky is back. Dakota Kai, what is going on? What is this segment? And of course, that led to well, I guess it eventually led to Io getting the women's Money in the Bank finally. But, we had to wait less than a
Long
whole year for that
enough.
one. But I guess it was worth the wait. But now and then it's also, you get the big turn of Dominic Mysterio on his father and him joining Judgment Day, even though annoyingly Judgment Day lost that match. But
You
that's
can't
another
win them all.
stupid. Yeah, that's another. You can't win them all, and you top it with quite possibly one of the most ridiculous, in the good way, ridiculous, over the top main event where Brock Lesnar comes in and goes and kills the ring with the forklift.
That
Huzzah!
that was amazing. Like I knew going in, this match needed something special in order to kick it up a notch.
Oh yeah, because this
But
is
I
like
don't
what,
think
their eighth
anyone
match
expected the
together.
forklift. Yeah. No one expected the forklift. Nobody.
And literally that was the moment where everyone truly woke up and be like, "Holy shit! What is it? What is he doing?" Do you seeing Roman fall back out of the other side of the ring while it's getting lifted up? Oh, the reason I picked it as number one is because it just gave us such a great show and just true hope of what WWE can really look like once Vince is truly gone. It's just a shame we only had that. We had that for 5 months, and then he forced his way back in, and now is giving everyone shitty front names like Dirty Dom and Big Bronson Reed.
The
Exactly.
bad days are back.
Oh, it's nice to see that like Triple H is still running creative. It's just a pain in the ass. Vince is like, I'll just throw my shit sprinkles during your product because fuck you.
Well,
And
I'll
that's what
tell
I
you
say to
what.
Vince.
Yeah, it's not good. But I will say,
It's
as
back
a
to counting down the days to when he disappears.
well, supposedly he did have major back surgery just recently that took about 5 hours. Something for
Oh,
backstage news, but
yeah.
maybe this means he'll be out of action for a while? Question mark.
You know Vince. He'll rest a week and then he'll just be back on making video calls. Because
Hey,
now he gets the technologies now. He's that uh gif of Shawn Michaels like typing with the reading glasses, but then add that weird pedo mustache.
oh, Vinnie Mac, when are you going to go away for good?
Oh, Vinnie Mac, and then you're dyeing your hair. Oh, stop thinking you're trying to make yourself look young. You just make yourself look stupid.
Well, as a palate cleanser, so we can end this thing on a high note.
Hmm.
My number one pick for favorite SummerSlam matches, moments, whatever, would be SummerSlam 2002, the entire show. Because when I was looking over SummerSlams in years past, by the time I got to SummerSlam 2002, the main event, of course, was the match between Brock Lesnar and The Rock, where
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar, I believe, won his first WWE Undisputed Championship. But when you go over the rest of the card, there's actually a whole lot of really banger ass matches all over the card. This was the return of Shawn Michaels in that street fight against Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
We also elsewhere got Rob Van Dam versus Chris Benoit, Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, Ric Flair versus Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio, and of course the classic to end all classics, the Sunday Night Heat classic, Spike Dudley versus Steven Richards. I mean, you can't beat it. It's just top to bottom. This was an astounding show. I've actually forgotten how solid of a show it actually is. So with that, even just watching it live, I remember it feeling like one of the best SummerSlams pound for pound that I have ever seen. So I would have to go with SummerSlam 2002 as my favorite one.
Cool. You sold me at Spike Dudley and
Steven Richards, I know, right?
right to censor. He
I
wasn't right
know,
to censor at
right?
that. Wait, was he right to censor at that
He
time?
was
No.
Steven Richards with an N.
What
He wasn't
really?
Stevie anymore.
Was that like the beginning around the beginning time? Or was he with or was he full faction at that point?
I do not recall, but again, all when you got such a banger of a match like Steven Richards versus Spike Dudley, an all-time classic, I mean, you can't stop
Dude,
it. What
you get Sunday Night Heat.
what more do you need out of life
What
itself?
more do you need at a SummerSlam without Sunday Night Heat? That's the one that really sets the mood going. That's the that's the pre
2 minutes
barbecue.
and 35 seconds of pure wrestling bliss.
Oh yes. But you're absolutely right. I think that's one of the best SummerSlams, period. Just because after you run down, I'm like, yeah, those were really great matches. That has to be one of the best, yeah, SummerSlams that they ever produced.
On that, we agree. But now those are our top 5 lists. And now is the time in our show where we kick it back over to you, our fellow fans. What were some of your favorite WrestleMania, SummerSlam matches, events, moments, whatever you got? What Tell us all about it wherever we are, all across the internet. Drop us a line, YouTube comments, Facebook posts, and of course, you can always drop in on us on the Twitter machines for a one-on-one conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. But Fool, if they want to keep the conversation going, where can they reach you on Twitter?
You can reach me at the Avataric.
And you can reach me realizing that, I don't know, should we call it Twitter now or should we call it X? Either way, you can find me at I'm Robbie Rage.
Surprised it's still lasting this long.
Never a dull moment in the tech world. And for all of these relevant links, Twitter, X, otherwise, you can check out those relevant social media links and more at our link tree that's in the description below wherever you are. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling for more fun. Follow us, check us out. But you know we're not going to be too far behind because you know who we are. We're the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Join us next week for some SummerSlam predictions.